So, welcome to Leeds Js. We've got sponsors to thank. We've got Sarah from Connects, who sponsored the venue tonight, and then we have Frog, who's sponsoring the drinks. By the way, there's free drinks. Talk to Luke, who has the tab card. First one's on Frog. And we also have an extra sponsor this week, Google. They have sponsored our prizes for the challenge, which you've all done things for. Every single one of you.
RxJS, so it's Reactive Functions with animation. RxJS, that's their little logo, it's actually quite nice. Right, so about me, I'm basically a JavaScript developer. I've only been doing it for about a year, so I'm quite new to it. I was before a freelancer. I did, like every freelancer, a bit of everything, WordPress, things like that, whatever brings the money in, basically, is what I used to do. And then I got employed at FarmOut, where my colleague there works before, and I discovered JavaScript there, and just got really into it. And since then, it's just extended. So that's about me. So, who uses RxJS? There's quite a lot of influential people using it. One of the main ones being Netflix. They're quite forward about how they use RxJS, and they do a lot of talks about it, so if you want to find out more, that's a good basis. It is by Microsoft, so and GitHub, SoundCloud, places like that. So, first of all, Rx, what is it? So, that's sort of split into three categories of how it works. So, essentially you create the stream, which is the first section, and you combine all this stream into functions, and then at the end you're going to listen to that stream. So it's in a three-part function. It's kind of the best way to think about it. You're going to create, an event listener essentially, and then you're going to manipulate that event, and then you're going to put it out and listen for that happening. And that's how you're going to work it. So you can find out more with the little tag I've just given at Reactive, and it is also on other languages. So it goes to .NET. It's on Java, it's on Ruby, I think. So it's not just purely JavaScript. So why is it better code based? I've basically just taken this straight from the site, being a little bit lazy. But it's functional, so it avoids the intricate stateful programs. So it's sort of a functional way of thinking. The programs you'll see, I'll give examples, are a lot smaller and they do a lot more, so you've got less is more obviously. It's got async error handling, which is like really great, because I don't know if you've sort of dealt with async before, but it's really hard, because the method now with ES6 is sort of handling promises, and a lot of things are called promises, and it's really hard to handle errors when that's happening. It doesn't really filter that. And it's made easy to sort of understand how it works. If you're going to look at an async program now, you've got lots of things about like the stay, just loads and loads of different little bits and pieces, but this really sort of maps it out in a simple program to view. So I'm just going to do a little bit of basics on RxJS versions of functional programming. So thinking functionally, first of all. Is that for me? So it's first-class functions, it's higher-order functions, and there's a lexical closure around all of these functions, and it's using immutable data. In other words, it's I don't know if you have immutable data is you're always just changing the data. You're never changing the original piece of data. So if you were to put in arrays, you're not going to adjust the original arrays. You're just creating new ones. And then it's a lazy evaluation, which means that it doesn't get invoked until you tell it you want it to invoke. So it will make more sense what I explain as it goes on, but it is lazy evaluation. So I'll just show you a basic of the loop. So everyone should know the for loop. We're going through and we're invoking a function here. So we've got the function is just a loop, and we're passing it at the very bottom. We're passing in an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going into the top, and then we're doing a for loop. So var I equals 0, data length, and obviously it's going to go around that loop multiple numbers of times. And every time it goes past, we're going to get the new number. We're pushing in this new number and then into the var numbers, and then at the end we'll return the numbers, which then will return us, because we're doing +1 on this section here, +1, will return new numbers. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just adding 1 to this. So that's just a basic for loop. I think everyone's used a for loop in their life. So now think of a for loop, but replacing it with map, reduce, and filter. So again, this is just in arrays, so this is purely out of the box JavaScript. We're not sort of, but what I'm leading up to is we're starting with these arrays, but this is really useful information which then gets split off and how RxJS uses that way of thinking. So again, it's just another function called loop. We're passing in variables at the very bottom, and as you can see, then all I'm doing is I'm grabbing data, which is the variable we've put in, and I'm just mapping over it. And the map, if you don't know, will just iterate over that data however many multiple times there are in there. So at the moment there's 5. So it will just go over it 5 times, and every time it goes over it, it will add 1 to it. So it does exactly the same as a for each loop, but it's just doing it in a shorter way, visually. But it's doing the same thing under the box. Obviously there's other libraries that can do this sort of stuff. You've got your underscore, Lodash, Ramda, but RxJS will extend it where you can do it with events as well. So this is very much stuck to doing it with arrays, and straight away also out of the box on JavaScript. So if you're trying to do passing functions or events, then you get very stuck in JavaScript. So I'm just going to do a bit of ES6 from now on, just because the code gets quite big. You're all fairly familiar with ES6? No, maybe, yeah. Well, basically, quick explanation. This just is a function. So it'd be like, instead of writing function, you'd have a fat arrow, and it'd be function, and that's your variable, and then here's, now this is inside it, so you don't have to put brackets inside those guys. They disappear. I mean, if you move on to multiple lines, it's good to put them visually, but then all I'm doing is x times 2 in that section, and then again it's another function. And this is actually lower or equal to, even though it looks like a weird function. So
what's important about that is that this inside the function is the same as outside, isn't it?
Yeah, so the scope with the new, that's kind of like the only bit that sort of is a simpler. You don't have to do bind at the end of every function. You don't have to bind this. It's going to encapsulate everything that you're declaring within that function. So you don't have the risk of calling this and then raising to the top and calling something from the outside.
Do you want to return inside?
No, you don't have to.
So
On a single line, it will return automatically, but I think on multiple lines, then yes, you have to start to use it.
Just so I understand this, if you're going through that and we get 1, 2, 3, that's it.
Yeah.
When it gets to that, and we multiply it by 2, when
Yeah.
it gets to that filter,
Yeah.
if we were dealing with 1,
Yeah.
by the time it gets to the filter, is x 1 or 2?
Well, I'm just going to show you. So basically, you've got to this point here. So I'm showing you what's coming through, but in reality, none of this here is going to be cool till you've got the for each. So for each is going, right, start feeding me the information. Okay, so the for each is going to go, how many pieces of information are coming down to here, then pass me through it. So at that point, yes, it's just going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then when it goes to the next one, it's going to feel it's new. You're not adjusting the, like I was saying, it's immutable. You're not changing the very top array. You're just creating new ones. So now in filter, you're going anything below 6, let that pass through. So now you're passing that through. So then when you go to the for each, that's only going to for each over 3 numbers in the array now. So when you get an output, you do console log, you'll just get a 2, 4, and a 6. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's pretty, it's just sort of playing with arrays. Right, so async problems. So now we're going to try and move on from doing just simple arrays and how then Rx incorporates that with asynchronicity. Whew, that's a big word. And then, so first of all, when you're doing asynchronous stuff, these are kind of few of the problems. You get composing of events and functions. So it's going to look a mess. It's really hard to sort of comprehend. You get like handling errors. Something can happen and then it can just stop. And then you don't know why, and then you've got to try and work through your code to find out where this error's coming. So it's not being filtered down. You get the callback hell, which is another one. State handling. So every time you're doing anything asynchronous, you've got to think of state. What's the current state of my code? Right, I sent out this request. What am I waiting for now? You've really got to think about where everything is in your code and what's going on, and then you've got to store that state somewhere and things like that. So it's really it is quite a complex thing that you have to go through in JavaScript to sort out async. So this is an example of callback hell. It's just a very simple one. You're just basically doing callback after. So you've achieved your first function. So you're going fetch a user, and then once the user's been fetched, then render the user on page, and after that fade in the user, and then once that's done, load a user photo. So you see, you're ending up. So this function's happening, that function's happening. You're ending up with things like so callback hell, camel head, or pyramid of doom. That's my talk over. Yeah, so that's my burning camel. So it's kind of like a callback hell and camel head. Anyway, so how can we logically deal with all these async sort of problems? So this is what I found when I was learning RxJS. It's really good to sort of get things visually, because you can talk about functions and you're just going, whoa, I don't know what's going on. There's this little application. It's called Rx Marbles. There's also another one which I've got the name, but I've got it at the end of the slides. And it just visualizes what's going on. So like at the very beginning, I say it's split into sort of 3 sections. You've got your creation, you've got your functions in the middle, and then you've got your listeners at the very bottom. So that's what that's demonstrating. Here but it's all over time. So you can imagine this is actually a time scale. So you can imagine number 1 is a click. So you've clicked 1, and then it's going to go through your function, and then it's going to times it by 10, so it's going to become 10. And then same again, 2 is 20, and 3 is 30. So it's how it's channeling through. But obviously, you've got to notice that the time difference. It is going to, it's going to come in and go out at the same time scale as it went in. So that's the key one to remember. Also, Andre Saltz, he created a like a framework called Cycles, which is kind of, it's going for similar to sort of all the other big frameworks out there, but it's purely in RxJS. I've not experimented with it yet, but it's quite promising how it handles data. So that's one to look up if it interests you. So, a quick beginning on Rx Observables. So again, you're looking at it, and it's not too far different from the example before. It's just arrays. So I've just created a variable called arrays, and rx.observable is just a function on the Rx, and then I'm grabbing it from array. So I'm just putting inside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the same as before. If we had loop, and we just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside loop. And then so I'm now grabbing these arrays, and I'm just mapping over them, and I'm just doing times 2. So it's going to change that to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Again, really similar to the previous example. There's nothing different there. And we're doing the filter, so it's going to reduce it, bring it down to only 2, 4, and 6 come out. And then when we console log for each of them and console log it, you're going to get 2, 4, and 6. So really nothing different to when we were just doing it basic in arrays. But where things come out is observables. They're asynchronous, and what I was talking about is they represent sort of any number over a continuous time. So that timeline of the clicks, you can just keep going, endless. It's just it's almost like an open event emitter and listener that's constantly open, but it's got no data leaks. So once something's over, it'll shut it, and then it's waiting to be open for something else to happen. But that will explain a bit more. So now we're going to get to something a bit more interesting. So now we're grabbing an Rx observable, and it's got a function which is just an interval. So we're just saying every 500 milliseconds, and it's going to take 5. It's just saying push out a number from 0 to 5. So just every 500 milliseconds, just push out a number. So it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so then we've got an array.map, and that's going to do exactly the same as before. It's going to go 0, 2, 4, 6, 10, 8, 10. And then we'll filter through that. We'll make sure there's anything below 6. And then this is where it gets interesting now, because now we're going to for each over this, what we've created this little function. And what will actually happen is, like in arrays will come out as a singular result, but this, what that was representing, it will come out over time. So you'll actually see on your screen, it will display 0, 2, 4, and 6, whatever time. Here I've used 500 milliseconds. So that's kind of like a key point, that, with arrays, you're always just going to get everything out in one go. But with observables, it's going to keep that timing on there. So it's going to come out gradually, or whatever time you set, and that will come really handy with doing things when you're calling out to an API and you're doing sort of calls like that, and where you're waiting for things to happen. So Rx has got many operators. It's got create, map, concat map, because the same as when you're dealing with arrays, you can sort of combine arrays together. So this is very useful when you're doing events. You can combine them together. It's got zip, which is, there's lots. Basically, there's like 120. So there's, hard consent, and then they have split it up into smaller libraries. You can have, I think the full libraries, off the top of my head, I think it's sort of 128k unzipped, and it's 46. That's the full, but then they've split it up into a light where, you can have the more basics if you're only going to use little bits and pieces. There's a link to 120 operators if you want some light reading. Right, so now we're going to kind of look at a real-ish example. It's really, don't put this into production. So, a drag and drop. Okay, so here we've got a drag and drop. It's quite daunting at first, but I'm going to just explain a little bit at a time, and then I'm going to show a live example so it makes a lot more sense. So at the very top, here is where we're creating these streams. So if you look at var mouse is an Rx DOM from event. So here we're just creating these events that are going to happen. So it's like an event listener. We're just creating them, and that's going to the target. So that's the drag target, which is what we've pulled in at the very top. So we've just gone into the DOM. We've gone, we want this div called drag target, and now we're going to listen to any time there's a mouse up on it. We'll listen to that. And then underneath, any time there's a mouse move on the actual full document, we'll listen to that. And any time there's a mouse down on the target again, we'll listen to that. So we'll listen to three things at the moment. So we'll listen to the mouse up, mouse move, and mouse down. So we've got three event streams. And now we're going to create a thing called mouse drag, which is going to implement how these things are being dragged. So what we'll do is, like we were doing prior on the arrays with array.map, we're going to do mouse down dot select many. I don't know what it is. Why is it select many? It should be map, but okay, it must be another function. I put this in last minute. I did something else first, but it was too complex. So I thought I'd go with this first. But anyway, it's like a map essentially, and then in that map, we're just going to go and grab so we've got to imagine we're doing a mouse drag, and that event, which is MD, I should have called it E in there, and the event of the mouse drag is the mouse down is going to go, right, where's my mouse being put on the offset X, and the start Y is the offset Y. So at the moment, all it's doing is you've got your div, you're clicking on it, and it's telling you exactly where you've clicked on this div. And next piece, now we're going to return a mouse move. Now we're going to map over that. So we've come into this function, we've clicked it, and now we're going to look out once it's clicked if this is going to be moved. So it's going to do the next part, which is the operators and projection functions, and we're going to move that around. The very first bit, just before there, this guy, that's only just preventing the default. So it's just any sort of default actions. And then after that, then once we've got that, we're going to return positions of this mouse move minus the start, and then we're going to do on X and Y. So that's to stop it what it'll do if you want to keep a location of where you clicked on the div, on the div, because otherwise it'll just jump top left. So that's why there's a little minus of them two. You've kept them originally, so you know exactly where you've pressed it. So I'll come out of here for a second, and I'll show you it here. So it makes a lot more, maybe in colours. So yeah, so once you've got it, so I mean, you know, what are we on? Sort of 36 lines maybe? Oh, you just got a simple drag and drop. So, you know, letting go. I mean, I can even, you know, we can just do a quick console log in there. Hello. No internet. Imagine that a console log came out and it said, hello! But, I mean, is there any questions that's potentially quite sort of a bit too complex or hard to understand? Is there anything, maybe I'll go back to this slide. Really.
I don't know if I'm kind of thinking about it too much because of the way that you did the example at the beginning.
Yeah.
Was this essentially the same thing as map?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just saying, for every one of these, I want to filter cases where you
exactly. Yeah.
And then you do something else.
Yeah. So you're doing the same as you would on arrays to events, and this it's not limited to events. It can be functions. You know, it can be essentially can be anything. But so we've spoken up to this section. You know, now we know where we're returning the left and the top of where this is being moved, and then we've got here a take until. So we've stringed along a take until. What take until does is going right. I'm going to carry this very top mouse drag until I can hear a mouse up. So once I hear a mouse up, I'm going to go right. I'm just dropping all of this, you know. So then it'll stop moving, you know. So at that point, you know, just the fact that you're just chaining along another function to say take until, you're not having to deal with state of, you know, is it up, is it down, or have I let go, have I not, you know, it's all just chained along nicely. You've got the end. But the thing is, what I was talking at the beginning, that all of these are lazy. This very part here is never going to run. You know, you can just leave it there and it won't run until you subscribe to it, which is essentially under the hood. That's just a for each on the dot subscription. And then what a for each will do is it'll invoke our mouse drag, and then it will return us these bits of information, which will be our position. So we're just returning an object with these positions, and we do position.top, position.left. So we're just grabbing that in, and then we're just doing the drag target style left, and that's how it's creating the dragging effect, because the for each at the very bottom is invoking these functions to start happening. So it's going, right, we've got these functions, they're sitting there, we know what we want everything to do, and then once the for each goes, okay guys, get going, and then it starts going, and then until there's a mouse up. So once you get
like a predicate.
Yeah.
False until.
Yeah. So it's ready, you know, it's there waiting. It's never going to run. But what's beautiful about it also is this mouse up and down can happen multiple times. And once you let go, that's just going to go. See you later. You've got no data leak, nothing like that. It's just going to get ready for the next one. So then you can drag the next bit, and so you're not that extra mental sort of remembering, right, where's this happening, where's that happening. It's all gone. You've got it within one function essentially. So you're setting them up at the top. In the middle, you're telling it what you want it to do, and at the very bottom, you're calling it. You're going, right, just now go over all these functions and act like I'd like you to.
Just a question about that. I know it's a bit of an abstract concept because you don't usually have two pointers on the screen, but
yes.
Because of the way that this is working, where it's kind of attaching to the mouse down,
yes.
does that mean that you can have essentially like two threads of these happening at the same time.
Yes.
So you can have infinitely many mouse down select many. I don't even know what you call that collectively. Is that a function? Is that a
Well, it's like an event, I guess. That's what they call them. From the very top, they call it from event. In this instance, yeah. But you'll see it will come really apparent because the next step I'm going to go is an autocomplete, which you're going to run into those sort of issues because you're going to, what I'm going to watch for is multiple letters being pressed into an input. So you're running into that sort of like, right, okay, we've got a lot of stuff happening very quickly and pushing out. But this is why I did this last minute and the code's not quite right with a few of the things because I thought, I'm just going straight into autocomplete and it's just going to be like that. But it's kind of, it builds up from you're doing arrays and you're just manipulating arrays and you're just doing a for each at the end to invoke it. And it's it's similar. You're setting up your your events or your observables, and then you're going to manipulate them within the function. And at the end, you're going to call that function with well, here it says to subscribe. Under the hood, it's just a for each. So it's just going to pull in the information. And then with that information, as we can see, we're just moving around the x and y of the target from the functions that we were just listening to see where the mouse is. And as soon as the mouse is off, then it will go, get rid of it. I stole that from, well, there's a link to the actual working one, which broke. Matt Pawłowski. He's the guy that sort of, he's a big part of the RxJS. He does a lot of the writing. So yeah. Right. So you should be getting the hang of things. Is there anything like that's really thrown you? I mean, I can go over it. I don't mind. Or is it like?
You might have a few questions on Slack. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. If there's nothing like too, we'll move on. But it was, if you keep the concept of just simple arrays, we're just sort of mapping and filtering over them. It'll make it right. You definitely want an autocomplete, don't you? Right. So we're going to create an autocomplete. So we're at the autocomplete and we go, right. So what do I need to know about autocomplete? We're going to have multiple requests. We're going to have, we're going to return the results asynchronously. You might send out a request and that might take longer than the next one you sent out. So there, you've got race differences. So that's going to map things up. You've got to keep track of the state. What have you clicked? What are you waiting for to come? And then you've got to sort of what's the other one? Yes, the arrows that say you were to type in hello, and then you were to press back twice. You don't want those back buttons to be registered as a button press. So you've got to watch out for that. And then you've got to also limit the number of times something is happening to save your calls to your API. So say you're typing hello, but you don't want it to go send one out for H, send one out for HE, send one out for HEL. You want it to go, okay, well wait 15 milliseconds or something, and then send it out for hello. You've got essentially like a buffer to stop that. So these are all sorts of things that, if you were to build that out, a pure JavaScript with jQuery or something like that, I went over the internet and I basically found one. This is like, I had to cut it up so I couldn't fit it all, but essentially this is part of it. To their credit, it does also sort of display things nicely, and I think it went through the results and sort of split them up into LIs and things like that. Our example doesn't really do that, but that was like 975 lines of code. So it's quite a sizable sort of program, right? And this is the equivalent in RxJS of doing all of that stuff. Okay, so I'll talk you through it. So it's you can instantly recognise it. It's not too far from the drag and drop. What I haven't put in, I'll go into it in a minute, is just the AJAX call, or AJAX, however you say it, out to the server. But we're doing the same thing. We're at the very top, and all I'm doing here is I'm just going to the DOM and I'm grabbing my text box and my results box. So So I'm just going to make it really easy. It's going to have an input and underneath another div where I'm going to display my results. So from the very get-go, this is where I'm going to set up my observable. I'm going to create a key press one. So I'm going to listen to an event on the text box. So you can, the first variable will be what you're listening to the event on. So it's on the text box, and I'm listening with key presses on that text box. And now I'm going to set up my functions of what's going to happen. So I'm going to call this search results set. So what I'm doing is I'm going over these key presses, these observables, and I'm going to throttle them every 20 seconds. So that's start number one. Oh, is that all right? Milliseconds, not 20 seconds. That'd be pretty rubbish autocomplete, wouldn't it? Alright, so how that's working out, if you imagine in these streams, it's going, right, I'm going to type in hello, but you type it pretty quickly. So like I was saying, you don't want it to go out and make the calls on HELLO, so it's essentially buffering. It's saying wait every 20 milliseconds, so I should really have demonstrated visually. So you've got your data stream, and you've got 1, 2, 3, and then a gap. And instead of putting out 1, 2, 3, it's going to go, oh, just put out number 3. And then there's a gap, and then there's another 2 really close together. And it's not going to put out both, it's going to put out the second one. Do you see what I mean? We're stopping all of these endless amount of calls being occurred by just putting a little throttle at the beginning. So we're throttling the event, and the next bit we're going to map over the event. And when we get to this point, instead of grabbing the event and going inside the event and seeing what keys are being pressed, we don't really care about that. We just want to know what's inside the input text. So at that point, I'm just going to go to the text box and I'm going to get its value. So, once you've throttled all these things and you just go text box, what have I got? Hello. Okay, cool. So I'm now going to go and send that out. We'll ignore distinct until change for a moment. We'll go on to map. I'll explain what distinct until change is after, so it will make a bit more sense. So now we're on the map, and at this point, we're just all behind this function here. It's just an AJAX call with a search term. The search term is coming from the text box value. So we've grabbed this text box value, we've passed it along, and now we're just going to put in the search term. So that's going to go get the search term. So this is just happening, the function is now calling it, and so this is where it gets really intelligent. It's going to go out and call it, and it's going to just wait. It's not going to block it. You can send out other search terms if you want. It's never going to be blocked. This is just going to wait for a response, and it will just display it because it's over this stream of time you've got going. It's not blocking it. You're not, with an array, you've got to wait for all your arrays to come in, and then I'll start displaying them. With this, it's going to go over time. So once it's called that, it's just going to, it will give it back to you once it's ready. It'll just give it back to you. So what switch latest does at the very bottom is it stops issues where you're making a call to say hello, and you've got HE that goes off, and you've got a little gap, and then you've got L, and then hell goes. Oh, that's not very nice, but anyway. And what happens if HE takes a lot longer than the HEL? You're going to get a display come back before another one, and then you've got a race condition. You're like, well, you don't want that. What in this case it's doing, switch latest, it's just going whatever my latest input, my key press is, I'll just stick to that. I'm going to scrap anything before. So you can imagine you've got your stream coming in, you've got things clicking, and you've got these async API calls going out. And instead of going, oh, this one's coming back now, it's going to go, I don't care about the first async, scrap them. I just want the latest one that you sent out. That's what it's doing. So you're going to send out multiple calls. It's only going to go right at the end. I want the latest version. It's just going to push it down to the latest. And distinct until change will go back up. That's all it's doing. That's just a comparison. It's just literally doing inside of text box value. Are they the same? So you can imagine, you know, when you go back and forth on your text box, you don't want them to make API calls. So it's going, are they the same value? Yes. Okay, we'll ignore it. Are they different? Oh, okay. So where that comes in handy is if you've written this hello, and then you've got you toggle, you know, left and right with your keys, it's not going to send because they're going, oh, they're the same. Okay, well, I'm not going to get past this bit because they're the same. Once it is past this bit, then I'll send out my request. So again, like in the past, we've set up everything ready. You know, it's ready. This is lazy. It's just sitting there waiting. And only at this point is it going to call this function to start getting it. So we're going to subscribe to our search result sets, which is here, and then the output we're going to get, which is essentially the output of our JSON call. Well, it's going to be an AJAX call, and that's going to be our result set. And then we're going to input it into our result box, which is our div at the moment, underneath the input box. So we've grabbed all this information, we've made it do what we want, and then at this point, this is when we're going to then grab our results from the API. So it's going to be our latest results. It's going to be make sure that it's only going out a specific amount of times, and it's not going to go out if it's doubling what's already there. And it'll come out, and then we're just going to put it into the result box value. So that's how it pushes it out. But an important thing here, on observables, you get 3 calls. When it's at the very beginning, you get an on next. So on the for each, it's going to go like this. So you've got the async. So you imagine on the arrays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going right. I'm expecting 5 to go. Okay. On next. So okay. On next 1. On next 2. On next 3. And then what's important, which the others don't have, is a complete. So if you do a promise, you don't ever get a complete. So this will push out on complete. So when it's the end, it's just going to tell the for each, I've got no more information, that's on complete.
So why do you separate the subscribe call out from the definition of search results set?
You don't have to. You can put your subscribe.
Yeah.
You can carry on if you want. It's just visually, just to make sense that this is where the work's going on, and that's where your results are going out. So in reality, yeah, you can just chain it. But the really important thing is handling errors. And all you have to do is pass a second function, and that deals with all your errors. So any error that happens anywhere along here, it automatically gets fed to the bottom, and it won't scrap it all, like, and just give you a random error. It'll just push it all the way down, and then you'll be open for the next click. So once you get an error, you're not getting an error on the whole function, and nothing else will work. It'll just be on that particular one. So say you've got one going to, you've called your API and your response hasn't come back. So that could be an error. I mean, there is another one of these, could be .retry. And what that will do is that will retry a call to any number you put in it. So you could put a 3. So that says, if it comes back an error twice, which sometimes happens, or the call's really slow, then it will retry it 3 times. But I've not put it in there, so that's probably a bit complex. So that's just showing you that the top is a stream, and then these are your functions, and then you're doing your for each, you're invoking your observable at the very bottom. And there's your error handling for the lot. So there is an example of this, which I think will work if I don't do anything to it. Oh, no, it won't, because it's called an API, isn't it? Oh. Well, what it did...
There's a network.
Is it? Shall I just quickly go on it? Okay, let's have a little look. Ooh, that one? Yeah, that's open, isn't it? They're not going to ask for all sorts of crazy details, are they?
It might
They do,
yeah.
I could just do it through my phone. Just a little break.
So it's very similar to streams in Node then?
Yes, yeah.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, it's just the way it's handling its promises. I've not been doing it for a great deal. I'm sure the RX guys will go, there's all sorts of stuff. But I think it's
in terms of the concept, it's very similar.
Yeah.
It's just they're getting passed through constantly, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's just it keeps flowing.
Yeah, but that's it. It's the asynchronicity of it.
Yeah.
Twice of the thing that's good Because I think with Node, once one's happened, it'll just stop. But this will just keep going. It'll just keep going, keep going, keep going, which is really useful for clicks and for these calls. I should put it out. Hold on, I'm going to quickly switch it on. I've got to remember where you do it. Hotspot, that's the one, isn't it? Okay. Just. You install these things and you regret it, don't you? There we go. I've got to find what I'm called now. Big smelly bumhole. Oh, I wish. I really wish. It should be.
Isn't that IL-C11?
No. Ah, little shit. Yeah, that's me. Which is not as bad as bumhole, obviously. Yeah. Right. Hey, we're on. Okay. So this should now work. So I've got exactly, except what I've put in here. I've inlined the JSON call. No, I haven't inlined it. It is a function. Woo. There we go. That's the get Wikipedia function. It does return. I should have added an observable. It does return an observable. So that's how it deals with knowing when, not caring about when something comes back. That's why it needs to be an observable, and that's how it allows it then for other things to be pressed. So, yes, very, very, very similar to, essentially it is like a promise, but it's extended over time. So here, going to work. There we go. So it's crap. This is from Wikipedia. So but if you will notice, if we can do it, network. Here we go. Let's go. Yes. Am I on? It's going to show me. Oh. Have I got it? Oh, yeah. I'll just go, oh. Ah. Is that it?
Oh, because it does it cross domain, it doesn't do it through.
Yeah, that's why I had to use a JSON-P because this doesn't have.
JSON-P does it through injecting a switch tag
Yeah.
on the page.
I wanted to show I just wanted to show that it's only sending out one request with the throttle basically. So it's stopping, multiple requests being sent out.
50 milliseconds is quite short.
Yeah, we can increase that. Oh, I've got 100.
3,000. of a second.
There we go. So that should really. Hang on. Let me stop that. Oh, what did it send that for? Oh no, these are the requests. I can't remember which ones are. Is it all of them? 200. It's a 200, isn't it? Yeah. So I've got 3 letters there, and it's only sent out 2. So that should hopefully demonstrate that it has done it. Woo. Right. So that's that bit. We'll go back into the talk. Whoop, whoop. Okay. And that's just a link to the JS bin. So integrating RxJS. I basically just built something with React. I think we had a React talk a couple of months ago, didn't you? Yeah. No, 3 I think. 4, 3.
It would have been React. Before I got involved.
Mm. Yeah.
It might have been like January.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just gone in and I've got to come out again. Yeah, so I just played with, because React has got, were you kind of familiar with React? Yeah, kind of. I won't go too much, but basically it's just a view, and that's essentially all it deals with. It's just, you can still have whatever backend you want. It'll just grab it and output it. That's like a very small thing of what it does. But what I've done is, with React, it's got a thing called a data flow. So if you've used other frameworks, I think that's where a lot of frameworks do struggle. Like we were speaking earlier with Angular. You know, when you're dealing with all this data, you're going, where is the data? I don't really know. And React, it runs on this immutable, like I was mentioning in the talk before, the immutable data. So it's going to go into a cycle. It's going to come in at the top, go through your application, come back out. So you always know where your data is going to go and come out. So I've got a 2-minute example. I'm going to do my thing. I built this. Woo-hoo-hoo. Did that in RxJS. So that's just a little thing. If I win, I should have saved it, shouldn't I? Let's do the talk. Oh, I did have one. Sorry. Right. Anyway. So I've got an RxJS, and
Not drop this down.
no. Well, this is part of the talk, so you know, I'm sort of promoting myself. I'm not really. So what we're dealing with here is I've just got counters, okay, and this you'll notice if the URL's changing. So I've got an RxJS. What's it called? Is it router? I forgot what it's called. But yeah, and that's just dealing with the URL and where we're going. But now, where it's good because of this data, and I'm using RxJS to push this data around, if I'm incrementing, you'll notice also at the very top the counter's been incremented, as well as here. So, but the counter at the top isn't actually in a connected file. It's a totally entirely different file. But because the data is going through my application, coming in, and I'm getting RxJS, I'm just creating observables, and I'm going, right, I've got this click created with an observable. Now push out this data, and I'm for eaching over that data, and it's coming through my application. So again, if you look here, the count is on 1. We'll increase it to 5. We'll go back to home, and it will be 5. So I am changing URLs, but I'm keeping state. So an example of this sort of stuff would be on Twitter. You've got unseen messages. You will always get sometimes like errors. You'll think, oh, I've got 5 unread, or 5 mentions, and then you actually look at it and you've got nothing. You go back and you've still got 5. That's because there's some sort of a state issue with the application that they should fix Twitter. Yeah. And then within this, I just started I've built this thing, I'm just extending out, and this is just doing a JSON call, and it's just grabbing, just random. So that grabbed 100 pieces of information from a JSON API, and that just, again, it's going exactly through the same flow as my counter, which is I'm grabbing it, I'm observable, pushing it, and I'm just for eaching over it and putting it. And what our React does a really good job of is it's got this virtual DOM, bless you, and it will differentiate, and it does it really good. You didn't record it, did you? The React one? No. But yeah, look into React because you can do it. That's the beauty of I've shown React, but you can do it with anything. You can do it with all the other frameworks out there. Essentially, it's literally you've got to think about it maybe like a library. So it is like jQuery. You can do it with the back end. It's not strictly sort of front end stuff. So yeah. And then I don't know what I've got left to say. Okay. So the Rx Vision. That's there's Rx Marbles. The Rx Vision, you can plug it into your if you create these streams, you can plug it into it, and you get a visualization of what's going on. And at each point, you get a little dot on. Say you've got a map, you've got a filter, you've got a reduce. You get a little dot, and you can hover over it, and it gives you the value of your current array that's going through an event. So that's really useful for debugging or viewing it. There's an Rx book, and they've got a Gitto as well, with like all the guys that create it are actually actively on there and helping out, which is really good. And then Jafar Hussain, which is a guy from Netflix, he does some really, really good talks. And this Learn RX is literally just an online little platform, and it's just got lots of little examples. It'll go, like I did, it'll go through the arrays, and then it'll show you how to map, reduce, etc. And then it'll show you how to get rid of the loop, and it will extend it, and it goes into observables. So that's a really nice way of learning it, because you're actively coding and information is going in a lot easier than just watching someone speak. And yes, so there's a list of tutorials, and then people to sort of watch out for that are actively in it and are good sort of people that talk about it. The at ReactiveX is just the Reactive JS Twitter. The Matt Polowoski, I should learn his name, so I'm doing so much about it. He wears like a sorcerer's hat during his talks. It's pretty cool. Well, is it cool? No, probably not. I like it, right. Just in case he's watching. And then Andre Saltz, he's the one that created Cycles, which is a framework purely built on RxJS. And then Jafar Hussain, he's like really like, he's the one who talks about a lot, does a lot of talks online. You'll be able to find a lot of stuff on RxJS, and generally it's pointing to him. And he's the guy that's the lead developer for the front end app, Netflix. And that is it. Streams of the future. There you go. Thank you.